This is Valley News Live at noon.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm JC Dodd. It's been a tough start to February. Bitter cold temps haven't let up, with wind chills being as low as 50 below, 0 for some. Let's check in with meteorologist Lisa Green with a quick look at your weather on this First Alert Weather Day. Lisa?
Well, good afternoon. It has been tough this morning especially. Let's take a look at some of our low temperatures. No records set, but we got very close in Grand Forks. We got down to 31 below. The record for today, 33 below. So we know we were at the bottom of temperatures we typically experience this time of year. 27 below in Fargo was our low temperature, and we got down to 37 below in Park Rapids, one of our coldest numbers. So a cold temperature around the region, but when we factored in those wind chills, we saw many places dipping down into the 50s below. Candu, the Gatsky area, Flag Island and the Nematic area, Humboldt over in Minnesota, Langdon, Leeds, even Grand Forks got down to 51 below for wind chills. Fargo was right at about 45 below. And so it was frigid, and we're still dealing with some issues with some cold temperatures. We're seeing those numbers go up, but it's a slow climb when we start that low. We're at 9 below right now in Fargo. 12 below 0 in Grand Forks. Lots of places showing some sunshine here, so that's nice at least. The wind out of the south, and that's what's helping to warm us up. And this is in advance of our next clipper, of course, that's coming our way. And wind chills, again, are not pleasant. We're at least not in the 50s below anymore, but we're still seeing wind chills into the 20s and 30s below this afternoon. So you're still going to want to bundle up. And that goes for tonight, too. Here's something interesting. Usually we see our warmest temperatures around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, this wind out of the south will keep driving in that warmer air. So we may see our highs for today around midnight. But that wind's going to be a little stronger than we'd like to see. So we're going to talk more about what that means and this latest clipper coming in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Lisa. Those winds I'm not looking forward to. Thank you. Happening now, North Dakota Attorney General Wayne Stindrum is being laid to rest. Here's a live look at the funeral service at the Bismarck Event Center. Stindrum served in the State, House, and Senate for 24 years before his 22-year tenure as Attorney General. He died unexpectedly last week at age 68, but the cause of death has not yet been released. We're streaming the service on our website at valleynewslive.com. New at noon, one man has serious injuries after a rollover left him in a cold ditch for 3 hours. It happened around 2 this morning near Sheldon, North Dakota. Highway Patrol officials say Jesse James Schultz drifted off the road and into a ditch. He overcorrected and rolled the vehicle multiple times. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt and was thrown from the vehicle. The crash report says he was lying in the ditch for about 3 hours until a passerby found the vehicle. Schultz sustained serious injuries from the crash and cold exposure. Also new at noon, a North Dakota man will be spending 7 years in prison for carjacking someone in Fargo. In March 2020, John Thomas Poitra was walking near 6th Avenue and 8th Street North when he demanded the keys from someone who had just parked a pickup. He also threatened to stab the owner of that truck. Poitra hit a few vehicles as he was driving the stolen pickup and led police on a brief chase. He was found near 34th Street in Moorhead. Poitra was also sentenced to 3 years of supervised release and has to pay nearly $500 to the victim. U.S. Special Forces carried out a raid in Syria overnight targeting the leader of ISIS. Deborah Alfrone has more details from the White House.
Good morning.
President Biden says U.S. Special Forces have taken out ISIS leader Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurashi, also known as Haji Abdullah.
Last night's operation took a major terrorist leader off the battlefield, and it sent a strong message to terrorists around the world. We will come after you and find you.
The raid took place in the Syrian town of Atmeh, not far from the Turkish border. The president watched the operation with members of the National Security Team.
As our troops approached to capture the terrorist, in a final act of desperate cowardness, he, with no regard to the lives of his own family or others in the building, he chose to blow himself up, not just to the vest, but to blow up that 3rd floor.
Syria's White Helmet Rescue Group says it found the bodies of 6 children and 4 women inside the rubble.
Knowing that this terrorist had chosen to surround himself with families, including children, we made a choice to pursue a special forces raid at a much greater risk than to our own people, rather than targeting him with an airstrike.
This man says he witnessed the raid. He says, we went out and saw planes above us. 10 minutes later, we heard screams, surrender, the house is surrounded. The overnight attack on ISIS's leader comes amidst concerns that the terrorist organization was regrouping.
We've removed an ISIS commander, and that's very good news. Obviously, ISIS is a great threat to our interests, not only in the Middle East, but around the world.
ISIS attacked a prison camp on January 21st, holding about 3,000 of its former prisoners. It was the largest battle between the U.S. military and the group in 3 years. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
The Department of Justice had listed a $10 million reward for information leading to the ISIS leader. The parents of a University of Missouri student from Eden Prairie, Minnesota are suing a fraternity after their son suffered serious brain injuries during a pledge party. Authorities say Daniel Stenlui's blood alcohol content was more than 6 times the legal limit for driving on October 20th when he was found unresponsive in a car parked at University Hospital. The parents' lawsuit alleges pledges at Phi Gamma Delta fraternity were expected to drink an entire bottle of alcohol as part of a fraternity tradition. The family says Stenluis remains unresponsive with significant brain damage. A Republican-controlled South Dakota House committee is declining to consider a bill from Governor Kristi Noem aimed at banning nearly all abortions. It deals a major blow to a top item on the governor's agenda. The bill was similar to a Texas law that prohibits abortions once medical professionals can detect fetal cardiac activity. Courthouses across the country were busy with weddings yesterday. Coming up at noon, we'll tell you why. But next, Lisa will be back to tell you about the possibility of some flakes in the area.